What studies do you have that people that have had the vaccine or have had the infection?
This is a little tidbit video from the Young Turks, and they'll be talking about Rand Paul, who is a United States Senator from Kentucky. And just so you know where my bias is, I'm a personal fan of Rand Paul. I wanted him to win in 2016. He was my guy that I wanted. And this is him talking to Anthony Fauci, the head epidemiologist for the United States under the Biden administration. But Rand Paul here is asking some questions about the really the rate of transmission once you're vaccinated or once you've already had the disease. And if the rate of transmission is low, do we really need to keep wearing the masks? And Rand Paul is asking for the evidence from the head scientist for, he's asking for the evidence that says we need to keep wearing the masks. And you'd think that the party of science should be able to produce this. Let's see what the Young Turks have to say.
And are spreading the infection. If we're not spreading the infection, isn't it just theater?
No, it's not.
The vaccine and you're wearing 2 masks. Isn't that theater?
No, that's not. Here we go again with the theater. Let's get down to the facts.
All right, now we're getting a little bit more into the commentary here. So Rand Paul's claim against Anthony Fauci is that once you've already been infected or once you have gotten the vaccine, you shouldn't have to wear the mask really anymore because your chances of transmitting to somebody else are virtually zero. And if the point of the masks is to stop you from transmitting to other people or to stop you from getting the disease itself, it's really kind of irrelevant to wear it if you've already had the disease or gotten the vaccine because you're pretty much safe from it and you can't transmit it to other people based on the evidence and the science that's out there. That being said, Rand Paul says, so if that's the case, then isn't it theater, meaning aren't you faking with the mask? Isn't the mask kind of pointless and just to put on a show? If that's the case. And yeah, I don't know. I think he makes a pretty good point.
So that is Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci going at it, talking about political theater. One's accusing the other of theater. The other is no doubt executing political theater. But this is one of those discussions that's ongoing right now in terms of what happens if you get a vaccine and you theoretically have some heightened level of immunity.
Not theoretically, I mean, the evidence is there and the science is there. Let's be honest here, Young Turks. Let's believe in the science and in the experts, and the experts say that if you've already gotten the vaccine, then you don't transmit at the same rate that you would if you didn't have the vaccine because you're safe from the disease. So otherwise, what's the point of a vaccine? Like, I'm not sure what the point would be if your claim is that it only theoretically helps this. It almost seems like you guys are participating in some political theater.
That is higher than it was before you were vaccinated. That was just the beginning of the interaction. We'll play you some of the rest of it so you can judge for yourself.
Oh, thanks. Man, you're so generous to do that for us. Go ahead and show us another cutout clip of this interaction that supports your narrative. I'm excited to hear it.
You're not hearing what I'm saying about variants. We're talking about wild type versus variants.
And
now,
what proof is there that there are significant reinfections with hospitalizations and death from the variants? None in our country. Zero.
Well, because we don't have a prevalent of a variant yet. We're having one.
What I love about this is, aren't they kind of agreeing with each other in this case? And Rand Paul is saying, hey, what is the evidence for us continuing to do these things if the evidence actually says that we shouldn't do these things? And Anthony Fauci says, well, we just don't have any evidence yet. So like they're saying the same thing. Rand Paul is saying, where's the evidence for this? And Anthony Fauci is saying we still have to wear the masks because there is no evidence yet that's happened in the United States. Let's pick a lane here, guy.
Policy based on conjecture.
No,
it isn't based on conjecture. Variants, so you want people to wear a mask for another couple years.
No.
You've been vaccinated and you parade around in 2 masks for show.
Right, exactly. It definitely is coming off for show. The science and the data says that. And the crazy thing here is Anthony Fauci's denying it, but do you hear his justification? His justification is kind of crazy. It's that, well, there could be variants that happen. So basically what he's saying is we have to keep wearing the masks for COVID because there could be another disease that happens. Yeah, dude, that sounds like it's kind of for show then.
No.
You can't get it again. There's virtually 0% chance you're going to get it, and yet you're telling people that have had the vaccine, who have immunity. You're defying everything we know about immunity by telling people to wear masks to have been vaccinated.
No.
Instead, you should be saying there is no science to say we're going to have a problem from the large number of people being vaccinated. You want to get rid of vaccine hesitancy? Tell them they can quit wearing their mask after they get the vaccine. You want people to get the vaccine? Give them a reward instead of telling them that the nanny state's going to be there for 3 more years and you got to wear a mask forever. People don't want to hear it. There's no science behind it.
You know, there's an easy way that Anthony Fauci could just win this, or sorry, Dr. Fauci could just win this. All he has to do is provide the evidence that's being asked for. I mean, isn't the guy who's in charge of all the science and the data, shouldn't he have all the numbers to prove definitively that we should be doing these things? Or are we just running off of like a mob mentality where if you try to go against it, you get accused of literally wanting people to die? Or is that what's going on?
Well, let me just state for the record that masks are not theater.
I'm glad that you're stating it, Dr. Fauci, but where's your evidence? Because we've heard the rhetoric, that's what Rand Paul is saying, but where's your evidence, man? Can you give us like the numbers then to prove that it's not theater? Because the evidence right now says that if you are safe from all of this stuff, you don't need to wear the mask. And if your point is that you're just wearing the masks then to make people confident in like staying safe or to make other people feel safe, then that maybe is a noble goal, but that is theater.
Masks are protective, and we
You have
ask
immunity there, theater. If you already have immunity, you're wearing a mask to give comfort to others. You're not wearing a mask because of any science.
I totally disagree with you.
That's great that you disagree. A little bit of evidence, though, is what you're asked for, so I'm sorry that your disagreement isn't evidence, Mr. Fauci.
So that's how it played out. Someone had to come in and break up the fight between Dr. Paul and Dr. Fauci. The one is an epidemiologist, and the other can tell you whether or not you can see this, row of letters on the wall.
Oh, yeah. Hey, guys. Just so you know, this gentleman here from the Young Turks says that if someone has a better degree than you, you're never allowed to disagree with them. So because Dr. Fauci is an expert on infectious diseases, he's never able to be wrong. Okay? And because he's been tenured in for the longest time in that role, nobody can ever question him because no one else has ever served in that role quite as long, and he can never quite as long, yeah. And he can never be wrong about this, guys, right? Even though he's not providing any of the evidence.
Just to kind of clarify, Centers for Disease Control, as reported by The Hill, advise that those who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 should wear a mask in public nonetheless. So
yeah, we get that that's what they advise, man. Thanks. We understand that fully. The contention is with that recommendation, right? Thanks for just repeating the same recommendation back to us, man.
Cenk, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, so this one's complicated. So a lot of times these days, the right wing makes it easy. They just make up stuff. Then we explain to you that that's not at all true.
Yeah, okay, Cenk, go ahead and tell us about how everyone who's against this is just wrong, without any evidence, by the way. Yeah, the right wing just makes up stuff. If I seem to remember what just happened here, Rand Paul is asking Dr. Fauci for evidence, and Dr. Fauci has no evidence, and he's just using rhetoric. So let me think here for a second. Who's the one just making stuff up?
And then we give you the actual facts and we move on. So in this case, I have some sympathy for Rand Paul's position if he wasn't such a jerk.
What are you talking about, Cenk? If he wasn't such a jerk. Cenk, your whole thing is to go to Congress and fight, and how politicians should fight for what they believe in and they shouldn't give up. Remember when you ran for Congress and got only 5% of the vote? Yeah, that was your whole position, was go in there and fight and don't take no for an answer. And now what, you're not gonna give sympathy to people who are doing that because it doesn't line up with your narrative and your side? You're a hypocrite, man. You're the one who says go in there and fight and don't take no for an answer. And he's just asking for evidence, Cenk. Show us the numbers, please.
And I'll explain why him being a jerk is relevant too. So after you get vaccinated, it is very likely that you are safe and the people you're around are also safe.
Right, so Rand Paul's right, and your contention is just how he dealt with it? Is that right, Cenk? So Rand Paul is in the right here, according to you, but you just don't like how he was talking to somebody. Let's put some facts over feelings here, right? And let's believe in the science, I think.
There's a study out of Israel saying that it is very unlikely for you to pass it on to others who have not yet been vaccinated. So, and that science is leading in that direction. Now, Is Dr. Fauci being overly careful? That's my best guess, but I'm not a doctor, right? And I haven't studied this for a living. But I can understand why he's being overly careful, because a lot of people aren't wearing masks before they get vaccinated.
Yeah, that's kind of irrelevant though, Cenk, because if your point is that it's so beyond the point, right? And I'm not gonna say anything about people who aren't wearing masks now. You should be wearing a mask now, okay? But Cenk, if he's being overly cautious and the evidence doesn't say that you need to be overly cautious, then what he's doing is putting on an act to make people feel more comfortable, right? There's a word for that. It's called theater. That's exactly what Rand Paul's claim is, and it blows my mind that you can't see that you're here agreeing with him. But your problem is just that he was rude? Cenk, you're the most bombastic, regressive on the internet, man. So I don't think you have any place to talk.
And so even if it was quote unquote theater, for public officials, that theater is actually politically relevant.
Okay, that's not really the question though. The question isn't, hey, is this theater politically relevant? Should we be pretending to wear masks? If Rand Paul would have asked, should we wear masks just to make people more comfortable? Maybe your point would make sense here, Cenk, but that's not what he's saying. Rand Paul is saying, is this just a trick? Is this just political theater to make people feel more comfortable? But Cenk, you're just saying that it is now. You're agreeing with Rand Paul on this one, and Dr. Fauci is the one that says, no, I just disagree. So, interesting. The cognitive dissonance is insane with you, Cenk.
Not in terms of electoral politics, but in terms of policy, because you want to encourage as much mask wearing as possible. Now, that's pre-vaccine. So if Rand Paul wanted to make the point in an intellectual way, in a respectful way, and an intellectually honest way, he would say, Dr. Fauci, aren't you being overly careful? And don't we want to, and so he mentioned the reward part, and that's fine. Don't we want to reward people for getting a vaccine? So shouldn't we calibrate this differently, as opposed to, oh, you're doing for a political stunt, it's the Democrats who are, obsessed with the mask. Well, what's the message you're sending by framing it that way?
Oh, is that right, Cenk? Is that what you would have done if you were in Congress? You would have went in there and been super polite with everybody? Yeah, that's what you ran on, right? Was being the polite guy, the guy who doesn't go in and fight? Give me a break. You're the guy who says, go in there, get in their face, shout at them until you get what you want, Cenk. That's your whole thing, is cry until you get what you want. That's literally your entire business platform. That was your entire congressional run campaign that you only got 5% on, by the way. Man, you suck at running for Congress.
The message you're sending is masks are not important. They're only theater. Don't listen to the doctors and the scientists that tell you to wear one.
Cenk, if the administration is wrong on this, if the evidence goes against them and Rand Paul is in the right, why are you picking apart the framing of this? That doesn't make any sense. Why are you protecting the administration if they're wrong and the evidence isn't on their side? Like, how does that make any sense? Why is Cenk doing the legwork for the administration to protect them? Why is he protecting the system that he claims to hate? Hypocrite.
And in a country that is still overwhelmingly not vaccinated, that is a very bad message to send out.
No, Cenk, that's the message that you took from it because maybe your skull's pretty thick and the message can't get fully through your brain, so you only see the parts that you want to see. But what he's really saying there is this another noble lie, Dr. Fauci? We know that you've lied to us in the past when you said that the masks didn't work earlier, and then you came out and said, yeah, well, I only said that so that they wouldn't be used up. So that the hospital people couldn't use them. Yeah, well, that's a lie, dude. And now you want us to believe you again? He's asking if there's another lie going on here, Cenk. But I guess I'm not really surprised that you're here defending them, because if there's anyone who's used to lying, it's the young Turks. Thanks for watching my video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and it always helps with the YouTube algorithm so that I can grow the channel. And also, please follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'll have some links in the description. The Twitter is at Ystervarke1. I'm trying to get over 1,000 on both of those. That would be, I don't know, really cool. So I feel like if each person that watches this video did it, I'd easily hit that number. I'd really appreciate if you did it. But if not, that's okay too. I always enjoy when you're just watching my stuff and leaving cool comments. So I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. You have a good one.